The spacecraft crew sleeps in a state of anabiosis. Astronaut George Taylor records a final report. Half a year ago, they set off from Cape Kennedy on Earth, and in that time, more than 7 centuries have passed. The people who sent them on this journey have long since passed away. Nevertheless, Taylor does not regret his choice. Time seems distorted and space seems vast. The only thing he wonders is whether humanity is still fighting the war that prompted them to go into space. The last date he sees on Earth is March 27, 2673. He examines his comrades and goes to bed. But shortly afterward, the ship crash lands on an unknown planet and is surrounded by water. The astronauts awaken and realize that they have slept much longer than they expected. The worst shock of all is the death of the only woman, Stewart. At this point, the ship begins to flood. Rescue is necessary, especially as the atmosphere on the planet proves to be breathable. Glancing at the ship's clock, where the Earth time of November 25, 3978 is frozen, the men abandon the sinking ship. Descending to a life raft, the Earthlings swim to shore, marveling at the splendor of nature but seeing no signs of intelligent life. Taylor reminds them that they are in the constellation of Orion, 320 light-years away from Earth, but the exact position is unknown, as no one has had time to check the instrument readings. Once ashore, Taylor checks the rest of his gear: a pistol, 20 rounds of ammunition, a first aid kit, and a 3-day supply of food and water. However, it remains unresolved how long a day lasts on this planet. They discuss Stewart's strange death, assuming that there was depressurization. Apparently, they flew for 18 months, and about 2,000 years have passed on Earth in that time. There is no hope of returning to Earth, and time has erased everything they knew. All that remains is to study this mysterious planet. Analyses show that nothing can grow here and the carbon dioxide levels are low, but there is no threat to human health. They have only 72 hours before their food supply is exhausted. Landon flags the United States of America ashore, and the astronauts set off to explore. On this strange planet, they were surrounded by wildlife with bizarre rocks and lifeless canyons. Several times they were nearly threatened by rockfalls. One thing was clear: a temporal gulf stretched between them and Earth. Their loved ones had passed away 20 centuries ago, and Taylor wondered what they had gone on this spaceflight for, whether they were looking for glory, new knowledge, or just a chance to extend their lives. Now they have lived much longer than any other people on Earth. Taylor believes that there must be something in the universe that transcends human existence. Suddenly they are called by Dooge, who has found a small plant. The astronauts walk on. Everywhere they look there are deserted cliffs. Ahead of them they see green bushes and some strange crosses. After walking a little more, the astronauts are happy. Finally, there is water ahead. They throw off their clothes and throw themselves into the water. After splashing, they swim to the shore and find human footprints on the shore. At that moment they notice dark figures stealing their clothes. The men rush in pursuit. Soon they find the torn clothes and put the remnants of them on themselves. Finally, they come to a plain and see a number of people who are behaving rather strangely. They are silent and pay no attention to the astronauts, but quietly pick and eat various fruits. The men are puzzled. These savages look like humans. At this moment, from the side of the forest there is an intimidating sound, and people rush to run. The astronauts try to understand what has happened, and suddenly they see armed horsemen. Shots ring out, and the intelligent apes that attacked the men ride into the clearing. In the commotion, the men are separated and Dodge is killed. Taylor runs with the others to the river. He almost makes it out, but one of the apes shoots and he, wounded in the neck, falls unconscious. The bound astronaut is thrown into a cage with the other prisoners. He sees the apes being photographed as a souvenir. George is brought to the infirmary where he is examined by the ape scientists. They examine Taylor, for he was wearing strange clothing. The two apes argue about the need to study the brains of these people. Not paying attention to Taylor coming to his senses, and he can't speak and for his wounded throat. In the morning, Dr. Zira is making her rounds. She is interested in the strange man she called Bleary-Eyed, because he is so hilarious at pretending to be able to speak. Taylor tries to show that he's reasonable and wants to snatch the pencil out of Zira's hand. At that moment, Dr. Zaus enters. Zira demonstrates the extraordinary man, but the doctor is skeptical. The man is acting like a monkey. He is just trying to imitate. Zira again tries to draw attention to the singularity of the man. He's using the blanket as clothing, and he's moving his arms in a very unusual way. He may be intelligent, but the doctor is annoyed. It's all cheap tricks. These people are dangerous and must be destroyed. Looks like they're bringing a girl into Taylor's cage. The next day, George and his companion are walking in the cage. Zira brings her fiancé, an archaeologist named Cornelius. She shows him Taylor, but he sees nothing unusual about him. While the apes argue, George writes in the sand, but no one pays attention to him. At that moment, Dr. Zaus comes in. He is annoyed. Zira and her human again, and then George is attacked by a wild man. A fight ensues. The wardens drag George indoors, and Dr. Zaus sees the letters George has written, but immediately erases them. Zira apologizes to Taylor, but he snatches the paper and pencil and writes his name on a piece of paper. A shaken Zira takes the man from the cage and brings him home. Cornelius doesn't believe her story. It's all a trick. People can't write. They try to find out where he learned it. Taylor writes the name of his school. Apes is shocked. Man explains that they came from another planet. Cornelius is puzzled, since flying is impossible, and then Taylor makes a paper airplane and then asks to see maps and explains where they landed and how they got to this place. Cornelius and Zira argue. She claims that man is a mutation, the missing link between primate and ape, and it is possible that apes evolved from man. Dr. Zaus enters and discovers a paper airplane, but breaks it and orders the human to be taken to a cage. Taylor and Nova are asleep in their cage when the apes arrive and order Taylor to be prepped for surgery, but the man breaks free and runs from the cage. He manages to hide in the ape temple, but is spotted and the man has to flee again. Taylor finds himself in a museum where stuffed humans are on display. Shocked, he runs outside, but gets caught in the nets where Zira finds him. Just then, Taylor's voice returns to Taylor, which shocks the apes. Later in the cage, Taylor tries to teach Nova to speak, but the apes take the girl away and put her in the cage opposite. The man tells her about his life on Earth, but he didn't love anyone there. The apes put a collar on him and take him to the court where a hearing will take place. Zira and Cornelius are prepared to act as his attorneys. The judges are outraged. He has no rights. After all, he is not an ape. But then what is he on trial for? The court gives his lawyers a voice, but Taylor intends to defend himself. A learned theologian is summoned, who tries to prove the unreasonableness of man, for he does not know the answers to the simplest questions. The man is forbidden to speak, and then he writes his statement and gives it to the court. Cornelius reads that Taylor is a space explorer from another planet, but the apes don't believe him. They demand to bring the people captured with him. And Taylor sees Landon, but he does not recognize his friend, and a scar is revealed on his head. George realizes that Dr. Zaus destroyed his friend's brain. George is dragged into the courtroom again, and here Cornelius stands up for Taylor. He wasn't lying when he said he came from a restricted area. He described it very accurately. Cornelius has been there himself and found ancient cultural remains. Zira continues her defense. If he didn't come from another planet, then he was born on this one. She's found no reason why people can't talk. But no one wants to listen. Zira and Cornelius are accused of scientific heresy and the tribunal is closed. The fate of the man is predetermined. He was given to Zaus, who intends to perform operations on him. George is outraged at how such a wrong civilization could have appeared and why Zaus is so afraid of him. Zira can't accept this and arranges Taylor and Nova's escape. He suggests they return to where the ship landed. The small caravan sets off and comes to a river. If they follow it, they come to the sea. Soon they come out to the place where Cornelius has been excavating. He is ready to escort the man into the cave, and then Zira sees the chase of the doctor catching up with the fugitives. But Taylor is armed, so he offers a compromise to Zaus. If Cornelius can prove that their culture is not the oldest and descended from humans, he will leave them alone. Everyone goes to the cave. While Cornelius shows off his findings, Taylor discovers human parts, a false jaw, glasses, and a heart valve. But the main find is a human doll that says the word mom. Zaus is trying to find a reasonable explanation. When gunshots sound outside, everyone rushes for the exit. The doctor's underlings, not keeping their word, attack the escort of fugitives. Taylor takes Dr. Zaus hostage, and he orders everyone to leave. Taylor lets him go in exchange for a horse, food, and water for him and his woman. But before he leaves, he asks the doctor why he has always feared him, and Zaus replies, "Because he is a man, and it is his ancestors' fault that the Forbidden Lands are barren." The people leave, and the doctor orders the cave to be blown up and Zira and Cornelius arrested. He saves the future of the entire nation. Taylor and Nova ride along the shore, and suddenly a man jumps off his horse. Terrified, he rears back. And they did it after all. They blew everyone up and destroyed civilization. Nova looks at Taylor with consternation. She doesn't realize that the top of the Statue of Liberty is rising in front of her on the ocean. This is the end of the movie.